Crystal glasses clinked. Laughter echoed across the chandelier-lit hall of Hotel Dion. My husband's father, Marcel Duval, the titan of Parisian finance, raised his voice just loud enough for every guest to hear. "A startup without an office," he scoffed, swirling his wine. "Pathetic. She's my son's biggest mistake." The table erupted in nervous chuckles. My cheeks burned, but I didn't flinch. I had been waiting for this moment because tonight he'd learn who truly held the knife. I met Marcel the day I married his son. He shook my hand like he was testing a weak hinge. To him, I was a poor girl with ideas instead of inheritance. He tolerated me barely. I remember the first Christmas in their mansion. He handed me an envelope with a polite smile. "Inside a check with a note for your husband's sanity. Open a boutique. Stop pretending to be an entrepreneur." I smiled, tucked it back into his jacket pocket, and kissed his cheek. That was the day I stopped being the naive daughter-in-law. Years passed, my startup growing quietly. I noticed small things. Contracts that slipped through my fingers. Investors who suddenly pulled out. Competitors repeating ideas I hadn't announced yet. I traced it back and there it was. Marcel's signature on the deal memos. He had been sabotaging me for years, leaking my strategies to rivals, bribing clients to walk away. At first heartbreak, not because I cared for his approval, but because my husband defended him. "He just wants the best for us," he'd say. No, Marcel only wanted me raised. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I sharpened my silence into a blade. I studied him. The arrogance, the carelessness with which he dismissed people he considered beneath him. He only bowed to two things, power and profit. So I aligned myself with both. Step by step, I built alliances he couldn't see. Quiet conversations over coffee, handshakes in hotel lobbies, whispered promises sealed with contracts, and the most important with the one man Marcel believed he owned. His top client, the billionaire François Lambert. What Marcel never knew was that François was my father. Estranged? Yes. But blood runs deeper than pride. When I approached him, I didn't ask for money. I asked for silence and patience, and he gave me both. Marcel thought he was sabotaging a naive girl's fragile startup. He didn't realize every company he undermined, every contract he poisoned, I redirected into Lambert Industries. Every failure of Minas strengthened my father's empire. I crafted the illusion of defeat while I built a fortress behind the curtain. When Marcel tried to cut off my credit line, the bank quietly doubled it because Lambert guaranteed it. When he sabotaged my logistics deal, these suppliers returned on Lambert's private jets. He believed he was bleeding me. In reality, he was funneling his own veins into my hands. And so here we were, a dinner in Paris, gilded with roses and pride. Marcel's voice echoing, "She's Myson's biggest mistake." Before I could open my mouth, François Lambert, the guest of honor, Marcel's golden client, rose from his chair. "Actually," Franna said, his voice smooth but sharp as glass, "she's my daughter." The room froze. My husband's wine glass tilted, spilling red across white linen. Marcel's face drained of color. He stammered, "Your daughter?" I met his eyes then, calm, steady. I smiled, understood in that instant. The contracts he relied on, the empire he boasted of, the legacy he believed untouchable was gone because François Lambert had already signed them over tome. The boardroom, the banks, the clients, they were all already mine. Marcel had mocked me at his table, but I'd already taken his seat at the head of it. He sat back, silent for the first time in his life. His fork trembled against porcelain. I leaned forward just enough for him to hear. "You always said I couldn't afford an office," I whispered. "Turns out I don't need one. I own the building you work in." His eyes widened. Horror replacing arrogance? And I felt it then. Not rage, not grief, relief. The kind that tastes like justice. I didn't raise my glass in triumph. I didn't gloat. I simply watched him crumble under the weight of a truth he couldn't escape. I was never his son's mistake. He was mine. And tonight, everyone finally knew who had taken his place.